What's going on YouTube? So the Kia Telluride has been one of the most highly sought after three-row family SUVs of the last few years. And today we're with the refreshed 2023 model.
And we want to know, does this fully loaded SX Prestige model surpass all of the competition?
That's what we're about to find out. Now, like always, let's get things started here with our spec dump. Now, I'm getting ready to show you quite a few changes to this entire model, but one of the places that has not changed is under the hood. We still have a 3.8 liter naturally aspirated V6 engine, making 291 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque.
It's going to be paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Front-wheel drive is standard equipment on all the trim levels, besides for the SX Prestige or X trim levels, where all-wheel drive is standard. 23 miles a gallon combined with front-wheel drive, 21 mpg combined with all-wheel drive.
Well, let's go ahead and close up the hood, take a look at the exterior before, of course, we're going to look at the beautiful interior and go for a test drive and get things like our signature sound level reading. Now, when it comes to refreshed designs, typically if a model has already been very successful, the brand will play it really safe. However, even with the Telluride's success, Kia has made pretty substantial changes to the overall front end design. Now, you'll notice we do have an updated look here. The grille itself is still going to be a tiger nose, but we do have this satin chrome finish on most of the trim levels, as well as this black texture on the inside. You got your new Kia logo, and Telluride is no longer written across the hood. Now, I do want to mention there are two new trim package options that you can add to various trim levels. They're called X-Line and X Pro. Basically, they're going to add a more rugged look than what you see here. It's going to kind of toughen up the lower bumper, and in the case of the X Pro, that one's actually going to add some extra capability to the Telluride. That's the most rugged version of the Telluride, and then we tell you why in a separate video when we covered the X Pro a couple months ago. Now, let's look at the headlights. These are another substantial place where we see some updates. As you can see, that ring of amber daytime running light, that's actually gone with this update. Instead, we have these two dashes. Those are your daytime running lights as well as your amber turn signals. And of course, you do have full LED headlights right there. Additionally, if you choose the SX trim level or above, that's going to get you the LED fog lamps built in. Now, moving around to the back design, it's probably less different than the front, but it still just has that really, really handsome look that the Telluride has always had.
Yeah, everyone loves the Telluride. I'm a big fan as well. And let's check out the change. That's going to be the tail light. So Drew's going to go ahead and hop inside here, and we're going to see if all of the elements are LED for this refreshed model. So our brake light is LED. We have an incandescent reverse light down here and an LED turn signal indicator. So 2 out of 3 elements, that's pretty much okay for a mainstream vehicle. It is worth noting you have to get at least the EX trim level to have any of the elements as LED though. And this is going to have a new clear lens for the 2023 refresh model. We're still going to have Telluride spelled out across the back. The wind is trying to blow my hood up here. And then down here at the bottom, we're going to have these nice silver accents. It gives it a nice premium look. Exposed exhaust outlets here on the right side, 2 exhaust outlets, not symmetrical, unfortunately. And then as far as your tow rating is concerned, it's going to be 5,000 pounds. Or if you go for an X Pro model, it's going to bump it by about my weight after eating at an all-you-can-eat buffet of an additional 500 pounds.
Now, another place we see some updates are our wheels. We have all new designs for every single trim level, and Kia is nicely including 20-inch alloy wheels on pretty much every single trim level. That includes, obviously, the SX Prestige model. As you can see, really nice look to these. This is probably my favorite wheel design actually in the entire lineup, with the little contrast elements and a mostly gloss black finish. Furthermore, I do want to point out that X Pro model, that's going to come with an 18-inch wheel. That has all-terrain tires for extra capability, as well as an extra 0.4 inches of ground clearance, which takes you to 8.4 inches. Now, heading up here to our mirrors. On this model, we do have standard blind spot monitoring and standard heating. You'll also add in power folding if you choose at least the EX trim level.
Now that we're at the side of the Telluride, you're going to see that signature boxy design that you see repeated in the front as well as the rear. Now, as far as the overall length, 196.9 inches is the length for this Telluride. That's not going to change this year. Now, as far as some of the design elements, we have our signature design right here that has the chrome piece. I really like that look. We also have chrome roof rails since we have the SX Prestige model. You can get different versions if you go for X Pro or X Line Duty. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, let's go ahead and talk about that because the Telluride is including all 4 of your active safety features as standard equipment on every single model, which is a very nice touch. Now, the only caveat to that is if you go for at least the SX trim level or above, that will further throw in their more advanced Highway Drive Assist 2.0 system that allows for auto lane changing. But guys, this Telluride has a really nice refreshed exterior. There's also a really nice refreshed cabin on the inside, so let's go ahead and check that out.
Now Mason already mentioned it, there's some nice things on the inside to show you, but first I'll show you the key fob. We do have standard smart entry on every version of the Telluride as well as remote start, which is located over here on this side. This is a new key fob for those of you familiar with what it looked like before. Now as we approach the Telluride, one of the nice things that I really like is the mirrors go ahead and fold out because it senses you're coming up to the vehicle. You do have a sensor behind the door handle as well, so just stick your hand back there and that will unlock. And take a look at that cabin. We still have just as much luxury as we had before, but we also have some pretty big style and technology enhancements. But let's first talk about the luxury and the color options. LX and S come with Syntex leatherette. EX and SX come with real leather. But when you choose the SX Prestige, which is what we have today, we have the genuine Napa leather seats. So these are some of the nicest grades of leather that you can get on any vehicle. Love the stitching details through here as well. Now, talking about the colors, we do have one of these special colors. This is an extra cost option on EX, SX, and SX Prestige. It's called Mahogany. Really lovely look, but you do also have a lot of more traditional choices, including beige, gray, and black, and also really exciting choices like terracotta and sage green on your X Pro models. As far as the seat controls, EX trim levels and above will come with these 14-way power adjusting seats with 4-way lumbar support, as well as power thigh extension. Lower trim levels do still come with power seats except for the LX. And let's go ahead and check out the interior. Now we finally get to get out of the wind and get into this serene environment. So we have the fully loaded model. As you'd expect, that means we're gonna have very, very nice materials. Let's start off over here with our door trim. We do have leather padding through here. This is all dyed to be the same color as the seats as well. We have soft touch along the top, and we have a faux wood accent that goes through here, but feels and looks very realistic. We do have 2-person memory seating. All 4 windows are going to be one-touch automatic. Across the upper dash, all this is a soft touch plastic with stitching detail. Generous use of this faux wood trim. This is a different look than what it used to have. We have Pinot Black in the middle, and then you got those signature Telluride handlebars, nicely leather covered as well. But let's go ahead and fire it up with a standard push button start. But like always, let's go ahead and transition to a first-person perspective and take a closer look at the interior details. The first thing I want to mention right from the start is this big technology upgrade. We've got the dual screen arrangement, and we don't have analog gauges anymore. We have a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster here with the SX trim level or above. As you can see, totally new look to this. This has a really cool graphic interface, which we have like the sky going on and some gauges. Of course, all this is fully reconfigurable to whatever design you want. And inside of the gauges, we also have the blind spot camera system. Now, furthermore, if you choose the SX Prestige, you're going to get a enlarged 10-inch head-up display. Lots of detailed information inside of this head-up display. My favorite thing that it adds is the fact that it has blind spot information that will actually appear in the head-up display. So you have blind spot information up there. You've got your blind spot information down here with your camera system. You have blind spot information in the mirrors. So if you still hit somebody in your blind spot, you are truly a bad driver. Anyways, let's move back to the steering wheel. This has the same look as before. Nicely leather wrapped on every single trim level. We do have the faux stitching and the airbag cover as well. It's also going to be manual tilt and telescoping on every trim level. Heating will be standard here with the SX Prestige. You can also add it to most of the trim levels. Now, turning over here to our storage solutions, we continue to find lots of places to stick things. You have a little tray, toss that to the side, tons of space inside this center console, felt lined at the bottom. We have a USB Type-C port as well. And as you can tell, this is going to really take care of the coupons. Barely have to even slightly bend them. So those Pizza Hut coupons are going to be fully crisp. Now up in front of that, we've got our 2 cup holders, little storage area. Pop that piano black trim open. This is where we have a lot of storage, more USB connections, wireless phone charging pad on the S trim level and above. Now, unlike the platform mate Hyundai Palisade, we don't have an electronic shifter. We've got a really nice traditional style one. Pull back for drive, bump to the left if you want to shift manually. However, there are no paddle shifters on the steering wheel. When we go into reverse, we're going to have a traditional backup camera on most models and a 360-degree camera system on the SX model and above. As you can see, you got both that traditional view as well as your overhead view, and we do have a new view for 2023. That is this 3D view. So this is a really cool and high-tech looking feature. Comes straight over from the Genesis brand. By the way, you do have parking sensors as well, standard on every single version, including the base LX. Back behind that, we do have our electronic parking brake. You've got your drive mode controllers. And then up these nice leather-wrapped handles is where you'll find your heated seats. Those are going to be standard on all but the very base model. Seat ventilation will begin on the EX trim level. Let's talk about the rest of the climate controls right above that. Nice physical buttons. These are very easy to use. 3-zone automatic, standard on every single version of the Telluride. Wedged right in between our climate controls and our updated vent design, we have our audio controls. We do have a standard 6-speaker sound system on most of the trim levels. SX and SX Prestige will come with the 630-watt 10-speaker Harman Kardon sound system instead. So let's go ahead and give that a sample. Yeah, so overall, that is a very nice sounding sound system. Really fills up this large cabin well. All right, so now it's time to return to this dual and kind of curved looking display system. This is enhanced for 2023, primarily because we do have a 12.3-inch main infotainment system compared to last year's 10.25-inch system. As far as the software on board, this is pretty much the same. This is your typical Hyundai, Kia, Genesis design software. You are going to have built-in navigation as standard on every single Telluride since this screen system has become standard on all models. You will also have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but just be aware they are the wired variety, not wireless. Moving up to the mirror, the EX trim level will give you an auto-dimming one. SX will add the HomeLink universal remote, and SX Prestige will add the rear camera mirror system. And then taking a look up here at our roof, you will have a traditional size sunroof available on some of the lower trim levels. However, we have the SX Prestige, of course, which is going to give you this dual panel arrangement. The front panel here is going to open up like a traditional sunroof, and then you've got the power sunshade and the secondary panel for the rear occupants.
Now, sitting in the Kia Telluride's rear seat is always a privilege, especially when you're in a higher-end model like what we're in today, the SX Prestige. Now, part of the reason why it's such a privilege is because it's very spacious. We're looking at 42.4 inches of legroom, 40.2 inches of headroom. Those are really good figures for the segment. That's going to best pretty much everything, especially stuff like the Toyota Highlander. It's going to be very similar to the Hyundai Palisade, as you would expect. Now, as far as how much knee room we have, I did bring my handy-dandy flex ruler here. We're looking at about 9 inches with this seat adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and I'm 5'9" for reference. So that's a lot of space, guys. Now, we also have this nice little seat back pocket with a little net as well, and we can just really make ourselves comfortable, especially if we fully recline the seat. This is a very, very nice place. I could take a great siesta back here. Now, as far as some of the features, now Kia's throwing in a lot for this fully loaded model. So here in the center, we have 2 cup holders right here. Down below that, we have household style outlet. We also have a 12-volt outlet to keep things charged up. USB ports in the back of each seat, which is nice. Then up here at the top, this is where you'll notice some of your climate controls. So you have 3-zone climate, so you can adjust the rear temperature back here, independent from the front. Our vents are right next to it, up in the ceiling. But a lot of the features are over here on the door, so let's go ahead and turn to that. Rear window sunshades are going to be standard on EX trim levels and above. The door trim itself is very nicely finished. Soft touch on the upper part, that wood trim going through there. More of that leather for your armrest portion. But in front of that, you're going to notice one of the fanciest and nicest features offered on this Telluride. We have heated and ventilated rear seats on SX Prestige level Telluride. So yeah, you're going to have ventilated butts as well as heated butts. And that's something that you definitely don't expect to see on a mainstream vehicle like this. Now, I do want to mention the seating arrangements. We have captain's chairs on this particular model. LX and EX are going to be the only 2 that come standard with bench seating on the Telluride lineup. Now let's go ahead and check out the 3rd row because, of course, this is a 3-row SUV. They make it super easy. You just press a little button right there. The seat will fold up and slide out of the way. Then as far as the space back here, we're looking at 31.4 inches of leg room. This is going to be a good amount of space for the segment. This is one of the larger offerings. This seat is adjusted all the way back in its tracks. And as you can see, I would say maybe a few centimeters of space between my knees and the seat back, which is really good for someone who's 5'9". And then as far as my feet, I can easily slide those up underneath the seat, so I'm very comfortable that way as well. And the thigh support is very good for this segment. Now, as far as other features, we have USB Type-C port. We also have vents in the ceiling, although we are going to be lacking stuff like a heated 3rd row, which is something that the Hyundai Palisade does offer, as well as the power reclining abilities. And as far as on our 3rd row rating scale, I'd say this Telluride is in-law approved. It's not a bad place to spend time, but it is lacking some of the bougie features that something like the Hyundai Palisade offers. And walking up to the tailgate, you will notice that we do have a hands-free smart opening tailgate. That's going to be standard on EX trim levels and above. You just stand behind it, it beeps a few times, and it will go ahead and open right up. Now, as far as the space itself is concerned back here, we're going to have pretty much a class-leading figure. 21 cubic feet behind the 3rd row seats. If we fold these 3rd row seats down, you're looking at 46 cubic feet of cargo capacity, and then as a maximum, we're looking at 87 cubic feet of cargo capacity. So that is slightly better than the Hyundai Palisade if you're comparing it to that. It's also going to be better than stuff like the Toyota Highlander. It's going to be right on par with that of the new Honda Pilot as well. So this is just a good size for this 3-row segment. Now, as far as some of the features are concerned, one of the cool things that I like about this car is that you have a lot of underfloor storage. You can fit quite a bit of stuff under here. I'm not sure if that's included in the cargo figure or not. I don't think so. And then over here on the left side, we do have a 12-volt power outlet. We're also going to have these buttons to electrically fold the 2nd row seats, so that's really nice and easy. One press will fold those down. I do want to mention, though, no power folding 3rd row. It's going to be manual folding, and that's going to be across all the Telluride models. It doesn't matter if you go for a fully loaded one or not. It's going to be a manual folding setup, which is something that the Palisade does offer, but it's pretty easy to fold it up and down, so I don't imagine that's going to be a huge deal for most of you guys. Now, I did bring our measuring tape, so let's see how much space there is behind the seat back, all the way to the rear of the cargo area. Looking about 83 inches, so I'd say you're safe to put about a 75-inch flat screen TV back here in the Telluride's rear area, and it is worth noting the seats do fold completely flat.
Nice. Just like that, you're up to 60 miles an hour in the 2023 Kia Telluride. Now, like we mentioned in the spec dump at the very beginning, Amongst all the changes that we have exterior and interior wise, the powertrain situation is going to stay exactly the same for 2023. Not sad about it or anything, but that does mean you'll still have the 3.8 liter naturally aspirated V6 engine. Again, 291 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque. Very class competitive numbers for the segment. And we always mention this, but there's kind of a move towards reducing displacement in a lot of the rivals. So some of them have moved to 4 cylinders. This is still a good old V6. So if that's something that you're looking for, you will find it here with the Telluride.
And honestly, guys, this is a very smooth and refined V6. So you're going to notice that, especially, so like if you go cross-shop it with the Toyota Highlander, which is a very popular product within the segment as well, you're going to really notice that refinement that you get with the V6.
As far as the other element of the powertrain, we have a 8-speed automatic transmission. Really nice and smooth transmission. When it comes to this segment of vehicle specifically, it's really all about that smooth and refined feel. And this is a great transmission because you can just ignore it most of the time. It is absolutely smooth. You don't feel it shift or anything like that. And it gives you the power that you need.
Yeah, and as far as how that power is put to the ground, it does have standard front-wheel drive across the entire Telluride board, unless you opt for one of the X trim packages, or the SX Prestige does get all-wheel drive as standard equipment. And that does indeed mean that you have 2 fuel economy ratings, 2026-23 with front-wheel drive, 18-24-21 miles a gallon if you opt for all-wheel drive, which is okay fuel economy for the segment. It's about class average if you do have a V6 under the hood, although some of the new turbo 4-cylinder models do get better fuel economy than this. And there is not a hybrid offering, which is something I would like to see Kia add for the Telluride later on. And let's go ahead and get one of our Car Confections signature elements, our sound level reading, going 55 miles per hour. My, oh my. So the Telluride actually is the quietest vehicle we've tested in the entire segment, and we just got a reading that's even quieter than the previous Telluride that we tested out, which was the SX Prestige with the X Pro package, which does make sense because that has some knobby off-road tires. This one is coming in at 53.6 decibels, which is significally actually the quietest thing in the entire segment. That's really, really good.
It's windy outside too.
I know, and really most of the luxury cars we test are 55 or higher, and this is a Kia Telluride, and it really just nails the sound level reading. Wow, that is impressive. Now, I do want to talk about the ride quality while we're going highway speed here. This Telluride really has phenomenal ride quality. You'll notice that as we're just cruising down this highway, when you hit a bump, it soaks it up really well. Of course, that's the main mission of something in this segment, is to ride good, and I have absolutely zero complaints with this vehicle. Also, the seats are super comfortable, and if you're in the second row, you have the privilege of heated and ventilated seats, and the recliner really far away, so you could take a great nap. If you're a kid, you should really want your mom and dad to buy the Kia Telluride. And let's hop into another one of our signature elements, our Slam Dunk and Air Ball. Now, as far as our Slam Dunk is concerned, we're going to say these 2023 improvements really have made a big difference in the Telluride. One of the things that we weren't a huge fan of before was some of the technology features. They fixed that for this refresh model. Also, they've updated it to get even more different trim level configurations. You have off-road capability if you go for the X Pro model. So they've really added a Telluride for everyone, minus the amber daytime running lights. I really missed that from the pre-refresh model. Kia, please bring this back. I think it was a really unique element. You could see them coming from a mile away, and now it just kind of blends in, unfortunately.
Now, besides for that turn signal situation, we have to be pretty nitpicky to come up with an airball when it comes to this Telluride, because it is rock solid. But if we are going to come up with something, and coming from having a Palisade for an entire week a short time ago, it does remind you that there are a tiny handful of features that are not available in this that are on the calligraphy version of the Palisade. Words, goodness. that you could get on the Palisade.
Yeah,
and
heated
maybe
third
they'll add
row
that
and
to this.
power folding third row, and then just
Massaging seats.
Massaging seats. Those are a few little really fancy touches that this SX Prestige model, even though it doesn't cost any less, does not have. Now, as far as your warranty, wrapping things up, we're going to have Kia's signature warranty, which is 5 years, 60,000 miles for your basic warranty, 10-year, 100,000 miles for your powertrain warranty, no complimentary maintenance for Kias. Now, Hyundais and Kias are known for their value, and this Kia Telluride is going to be no different. So we're going to start at $35,690. Now, as we go up the trim levels, like I mentioned, this is the fully loaded SX Prestige. That's going to start at $50,390, which is a very good value for something fully loaded up in this segment. Now, this particular model, we do have a few options: optional paint color, optional interior color. $52,970 is this model's price tag with the $1,365 destination factored in. And guys, that's gonna wrap up our in-depth review of the refreshed 2023 Kia Telluride SX Prestige. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, please help us out by hitting that subscribe button down below. By doing so, you help give us access to better cars to show you all on the channel. So it's really kind of a circular thing here. Now, if you're already a subscriber, we really appreciate your support. You're what makes this possible, so we thank you for all of the support over the last few years. Now, if you haven't checked out our TikTok or Instagram pages, please go ahead and check those out as well. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.